Hey, welcome to Maximum Bat Speed. Throughout the years of reading or research or going on YouTube, I've been very fortunate enough to come across a lot of good techniques and drills that I've tried to implement into my videos in order to help players, to help students and coaches to improve upon. Now sometimes I change them a bit because just from testing them I find that the concept is great, but yet with me I'm always trying to tweak things to try to simplify things or make them a little better. It doesn't necessarily mean that my way is the best way. It just means that each coach out there has their own method or technique in which they're trying to share with their audience or their students or players or coaches an idea or a technique or a mechanic in hitting that will help them to get to the next level. As coaches, that is ultimately our goal, is to help people to get better. So this particular drill that I'm going to share with you, I learned it years ago from watching YouTube off a coach that I respect and what he teaches, and I'm going to share with you a few of the things that I've been teaching for quite a while and things that I've been teaching recently, that just to give players more options or a different way of applying a technique but yet coming up with the same results. Now this particular subject matter of this video is going to be the load and how you get into the load, and again, different technique but yet the same results. Now many of you that watch my videos know that I like to talk a lot about the balance. So everything starts with a good balance, keeping the knees inside the feet, okay? So everything straight down and try to get like in a very nice balanced position. That's crucial to get into a good load. Now the next thing is this, you know, everything as far as the hands, you can have your hands up here starting off, that style. You can have your hands down here and right here. I like to keep them right here in front of the armpit area, shoulder area, just for the simplicity of having less movement. But of course it's style, it's just a preference of mine. If you like your hands high or low, as long as you get into this position more here when you get into your toe touch, that's what I'm looking for as a coach. Now once you have the setup in order, what I like to do, and those of you who watch my videos, as you get into your load, you're going to see that I like to have the back elbow work up, back, and behind you as you walk away from the hands. So in other words, as I have my hands right here, and as I get into my negative move, my hands should pretty much stop right here, and from here my hands are pretty much now in the back of my back foot area with my hands right in front of my shoulders. I walk away from the hands. I'm going to have kind of this shoulder to elbow look right here, okay? And again, if you watch my videos, you see and I explain how these elite players are continuously, the ones that are the elite players, the better players with power, tend to have that shoulder to elbow look as they're walking away from the hands. So again, I get into my negative move, I'm into my back hip socket, and then I walk away from the hands trying to have that shoulder to elbow look, landing on the front of the ball of my feet. My feet are pointing straight ahead. Okay, now again, like I mentioned to you, there's different ways of getting to this point, and I like to teach what I just taught right here. Again, from this angle here, it would be kind of a look like this. Watch what's going on. And you can see here that I have the shoulder to elbow look where my elbow's up. I'm not leaking my load. In other words, when I get to my toe touch, you don't see me doing this, where I leak my load. It should be working up, back, and behind me, not down and to my side like what you see in a lot of lower level players. That deprives you of separation between the lower and the upper body. Now again, there's different ways to achieve that shoulder to elbow look, and like I just shared with you right now, one way is as you walk away from the hands, let that back elbow work up, back, and behind you. Now you'll see here when I apply that method, watch where my bat angle is pointing once I get to my toe touch. You can see here that my bat right now is pointing in this direction right here. In other words, if I'm hitting, it's almost pointing like, it would be pointing almost to like to the third baseman. You see a lot of that in the MLB, but if you focus on what's going on with some of the players in the MLB, Miguel Cabrera does it to some degree, and that's one of the best players in the MLB, what I'm going to share with you right now. If you watch where his bat angle is at toe touch, you'll see that his bat tends to point more up the middle, sometimes to the right a little bit, and you see a lot of other players in the MLB applying this method that I'm going to teach you. Like I said, I learned years ago from a person or a coach that I respect a lot of his teachings. Now, again, these are suggestions for you to work on, because there's different students that I work with, and some of them really like what I just shared with you, how that is more of a kind of let that back elbow work up, back, and behind you, and others like the technique that I'm going to share with you right now. Now, if you put your hand and just put it straight out like this, okay, and I was to ask you, and just say you had your hand and you had a cup of soda in your hand, and I told you to spill it, and you would just spill it like this. Now watch what's going on with my elbow right here. You can see right now where it is, and as I spill it, now my elbow's up. Okay, now if I do the same thing and I just put the cup just like if I was holding a bat right here, okay, and I do the same thing, the same move, and I'm spilling the cup, what's going on with my back elbow? It puts my elbow, my back elbow, in a perfect shoulder to shoulder slot, as though if I was to hit. So if I was to be right here and I was to get into my swing and I was to feel like I was spilling the cup, I had that same angle that I did when I have that shoulder to elbow look as I'm walking away from the hands. Now, as I just mentioned, there's different ways of achieving a load, and this is another option for you, and see which one works the best for you. Okay, it's not mandatory, and again, you see different players in the MLB or elite players in different areas of whether it be high school, college, softball, NPF, MLB. They have different ways in which they achieve their load, but they yet, many of them have that beautiful shoulder to elbow look. Okay, now ultimately what really matters is, as you get into your heel plant, is your bat falling into that slot. It's falling into that shallowing slot so that your bat can get into that swing path immediately, so that you can attack pretty much any pitch that comes to you at any speed. Okay, so again, if I get the hands right here, and this is something you can try, just feel like you're spilling a cup. Okay, now once you put the bat in your hand, of course you're not going to be able to spill the cup, or your bat's going to be going straight down. So once you add your other hand to it, it's going to add a different dimension to the actual ability to do this. Okay, basically if I do this now, you can see where what my bat's doing. I'm trying to spill it, but the point I'm trying to give to you here is this, that it is a feeling, and that's what makes mechanics work. You start applying a feeling that can make you produce the results or the angles that you want in your swing. And this is the purpose of this video here, to give you again another option or another way of looking at this load from a different technique. Okay, so what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to set up just like I did with the first part of this video, and I'm going to apply that same move that I just did, spilling the cup or spilling the soda can, as I get into my forward move. So as I'm here, you can see right here that I have that shoulder to elbow look, and all I was thinking about right there as I was moving forward, I was just thinking of spilling the cup. That's what I was feeling. So before, I was thinking of letting that back elbow, like kind of a pullback of that back elbow, working up, back, and behind me. And again, the way I did it originally the first time, the way I'm just showing you now, I'm here, and now it's pretty much the same results. My hands are still back by my back of my heel in both these loads. With both loads, I had that shoulder to elbow look. My hands are still back. I feel coiled with both of them. Okay, and now again, like I mentioned to you, in the MLB, whether it be softball, elite players, what you see with a traditional, or what a lot of players are accustomed to, the bat, as I start to get into my load, you can see where my bat is pointing more in this direction. When you get into this spilling kind of a cup where all you're doing is doing this, now watch where my bat is when I apply it in this manner. Now right here, you can see that my bat's pointing almost to opposite field. See that? So from here or here, both of them are fine. The reason being is if you're applying that pullback and that resistance, once you get into your heel plant, and again, when I'm applying it, the load, one of them is feeling kind of a pullback compared to having more of a spilling the cup as I'm letting this spilling of the cup work back to my back of my heel as I'm walking away from the hand. See that? It still goes up this way, spilling the cup, or pullback still goes up. Either way, okay? But again, what ultimately matters is, are you continuing to apply that pullback and that resistance even into heel plant? In other words, is this, and I'm going to show you something here, and this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. Either way will work as long as you apply the pullback. So watch what's going on here. I'm going to do it the original way, where I just have that back elbow work up, back, and behind me. I get into heel plant. So what I'm doing is I'm applying resistance in slow motion. I'm here. Everything falls into place right here. Now I'm going to show you spilling the cup or spilling the glass. All right? Slow motion. So in other words, with both of them, okay, whether my hand was already in this kind of a slot right here, as I got into my heel plant, all I'm doing is pulling back still so my bat can fall into the slot, or if I'm here, again, as I get into my heel plant, boom, I feel, and once I get into my heel plant, my back snaps back into the slot or shallows into the slot so I can get into this beautiful pointed angle so I can hit pretty much any ball at any speed coming my way if I time it correctly. So the purpose of this video is to show you that there's options out there. There is no cookie cutter way to load your body. There's historically MLB players, again, softball players who have tried it different ways, and maybe one of these ways will work better for you than the other. But the key is that regardless of what method you use, you must continue to apply that pullback and that resistance throughout your whole swing. What I tell my students is apply it all the way to contact. Now obviously you're not going to be able to do that to contact, but what my purpose is, you cannot ever stop feeling that resistance and pullback into your swing, because if you start letting off on it, your bat will get into a point where, or your hands, where you'll get some bat drag. You'll get where your back elbow starts to fall down. A lot of things that cause power leaks, okay? So that pullback and that resistance is necessary regardless of whether you have the bat working behind you, pointing more to the third baseman, or more to the opposite field of the spill of the cup. That resistance, that pullback must remain in order for you to get a better hand path, get more bat speed, to get more acceleration through the ball. That resistance is crucial, along with having very smooth tempo. Very smooth tempo is crucial. You slow the swing down at the beginning, and then once you get to heel plant, then everything explodes through the ball. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, you can email me at maximumbatSpeed@gmail.com. I hope these suggestions help. My purpose, again, is always to help players, coaches, students to get better at this great game of baseball and softball. God bless.